Well, they dreamed the impossible dream, and now the impossible is now within reach for the Boston Celtics. After a last-second game winner in Game 6, they are now one win away from securing a 3-0 comeback. Now, who would have thought? Joining us tonight to talk about the crazy Eastern Conference Finals is NBA Philippines All-Star analyst Coach Willy Wilson. Coach Willy,
welcome back, Coach.
Always great to have you here. We're still not done talking about Game 6 because
we shouldn't be. We should not be. Game 6, man, that deserves this.
Right. Absolutely. Here. So we have a lot of time here, so I'm going to go really deep into it. A lot of people thought Boston were dead and buried after Jimmy Butler hit those last 3 free throws. And all of a sudden, Derek White, out of the blue, comes out and scores with 0.2.
Less than a second.
Less than a second. Coach, your overall thoughts, your first reactions when you saw it happen?
Well, let's first talk about how we got to that situation in the first place. The Heat were down. They were down pretty big as well, you know. So in my mind, I'm like, this is a one-ball game, you know. You're watching it. I leave, go check on the kids, you know, get something to drink, get a little snack. And then I come back, you know, they're inching closer. And we talked off air, and I posed that question. You know, you get fouled on a three-point attempt. All right, it's controversial. Gets reviewed. You get this whole standstill, and everybody's talking about, no, look at the clock when Jimmy has the ball. But then what people don't know is as the play is being reviewed, and it was indeed a foul, you get to see exactly the second that the foul was committed. So that is why, for those that don't know, there was 3 seconds on the clock. And the clutchness of Jimmy to sink those 3 free throws, right? Like you said, I thought, and I'm pretty sure millions of people thought that it was a one-ball game. The Heat are going back to the NBA Finals. And then you get this miracle putback with like less than like splits of a second remaining on the clock by, of all people, Derek White. And it's just poetic how we're in this situation, the first time in history for somebody to be able to come back 0-3. And I'm excited to see what Game 7 is going to give us.
And just to tell a story how, you know, impossible it is to come back from a 0-3 deficit. 150-0 in NBA history. No team has done that. And the Celtics are trying to do that, Coach. And right now, who do you think the pressure is on right now? I mean, when it was 0-3, all the pressure was in Boston, right? They just had to live another day, live another game. Now it's in Game 7, home court ng Boston, Coach. Where's the pressure on right now?
You know, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit on that 0-3 pressure on Boston. For me, the closeout game, the pressure's on Miami.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I've been in that situation in the past, and the hardest games to win are those closeout games because you know, like you just said it. What was the stat?
150-0.
I'm Boston. What do I have to lose?
Right.
You know, I'm 150-0. Most likely, if odds are going to win out, I'm losing this game. So let me just go out there, play my game, and get buckets.
So you think Boston has the pressure now, Coach?
No, the pressure is still on Miami. Imagine, though. Imagine the write-ups.
Right.
You're up 3-0, and you go on to lose the series. You're never, ever going to hear the end of this. You know, coaches, and I hate to say this, but coaches get fired over things like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Of course, with all of this, we actually have prepared something. We have the Willy WISHLIST. We have the Willy WISHLIST back. I do not think we actually have the graphic of Coach Willy with a bad tank top on.
Yeah. Luckily for
Coach Willy. But we're going to go to his wish list item number 1, and that is more beef between HORFORD and BUTLER.
Ooh, that's a nice wish,
This
Coach.
feels very...
I would love that.
For the entertainment value, but then why this in particular?
Well, you know what makes games so great are the storylines. All right, like we talk about the stats, the history of these two teams playing in playoff series and championship games. But what about the player-to-player matchups, right? Now, these two guys play different positions, but they've been entangled a few times, namely that three-point attempt where Horford did foul him. And then we get this right here.
The T.
The T. And the T, I would say, is not for timeout, but for troll.
Ooh,
The T is for
I like
troll.
that, Coach.
And you just got Horford, who is, I believe, too old to be trolling, and Jimmy Butler out there doing the same thing. And it just makes for great entertainment. Like, oh, what's going to happen next? You got some expletives being shouted out by Horford. He won't confirm that, but I mean, it just makes for great basketball.
I'd argue though they're both too old to be trolling, but
Leave it to the young guys.
Yeah, but I still love what we're seeing.
All right, Coach Willie, I mean, you mentioned that, probably the last 5 seconds of that game, probably the longest 5 seconds in the whole series. But this whole series has been long as well. It has been very physical. It was an up and down. The margin has been big, especially the first few games, Coach. And the next item on your wish list is, we get another cardiac ending to Game 7. And do you think this will happen, Coach?
I mean, both teams want to win. Games 3, 4, and 5, huge margins of victory. 1 and 2, pretty tight.
Right.
But just given the amount of adrenaline that we're going to be realizing in Game 7, how much this game means, I don't think any team is gonna let this game get too far out of control.
Yeah.
As far as this team goes up by 5,
right.
We have to really do something to kick it back into gear and close this gap. Because if we let it get too far away, I know we've seen the Heat come back from big deficits in the past. We know they're definitely capable. They got playoff Jimmy on their side.
Yep.
But, I mean, do you really want to be in that situation and be on the wrong side of history? I don't think so.
And Coach, just a quick follow-up, I just want to pick your brains as a coach. You do a lot of film, right?
Yes.
And the chess match has been amazing between these two coaches, Coach Eric, Coach Joe Mazzulla. What have you been seeing between the chess matches? Why has it been, the first 3 went to Miami, then the next 3 went to Boston?
Well, it's no secret on what each team is going to do. The rotation really hasn't changed in the series as far as I'm putting these 5 on the court. I'm rotating these guys in off the bench. Same thing for the Heat and for the Celtics. You see that zone being thrown in by the Heat. You know what you're going to get from both teams. It's just the effort, the difference in effort that the Boston Celtics have put forth to get back into this series. You're seeing a rejuvenated Boston Celtics team with their backs against the wall, just saying, you know what? We're not supposed to be in this situation. We're supposed to be in the NBA Finals. We got a first-team All-NBA guy on our team, a second-team All-NBA guy on our team. Let's ride these 2 horses and get to that finish line.
Games 3, 4, and 5 were blowouts by the end of it. Obviously, we all know how Game 6 ended. And let's see whether or not Game 7 will be another nail-biter. It might be asking for too much from the basketball gods, but you never know.
Hopefully.
One great thing, though, one amazing thing is the fact that there have been so many stars throughout this series. The role players in Miami, Jimmy Butler being Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum doing his thing, Derek White coming out of nowhere. A lot of great stories here. And another wish list that you have here is that greatness comes out of the series. Now, how do you define that in the context of what you hope comes out in Game 7?
Okay, so when I talk about greatness, you can have individual greatness by just all-time performance in this Game 7, or team greatness. Boston Celtics coming back from a 0-3 hole and winning the series, making it to the finals. Or we can see, you talked about that chess match, Eric Spoelstra just pulling a 180 and just doing something totally out of character, totally out of pocket, and just killing whatever game plan Boston has for them. So I expect to see greatness regardless. We're going to either see greatness coming from Boston, coming out of that 0-3 hole and winning, or we're going to see greatness coming out of the Heat side with playoff Jimmy and that all-time great head coach in Eric Spoelstra.
Draymond Green, in an interview recently, or I think it's one of his podcasts, mentioned that if the Celtics come back from 3-0, maybe they'll all shut up about them blowing a 3-1 lead in the finals. Do you think that that's actually going to be the case? Is that how massive coming back from 3-0 is as an achievement?
I mean, it is a massive achievement, but you can't really compare that to other series. Even if Boston was in that series with them because, again, even coming back from a 0-3 and forcing a game 6, the odds are just so heavily stacked against you. So you have to put this in its own box, like a Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game. It's something that we're probably never ever going to see again.
Great. And Coach, talking about greatness, Jimmy actually mentioned that they're in the same situation as last year going up against Boston. They're now back in Game 7, this time home court ng Boston, Coach. What's it going to be like? You have any hot takes for us who's going to get Game 7, Coach Willie?
Well, I just love how Jimmy Butler compartmentalizes the situation. As hoopers, we want to take the pressure off. Okay, so I'm taking these 3 clutch free throws. Oh man, these are nothing. It's nothing but I'm just back in my gym, back in my home gym, taking easy buckets. Hot take, I'm putting my money, and I don't gamble, but I'm putting my money on the Heat. I'm switching sides. I know I said Celtics in 6, but I just don't think that this can happen where the Celtics will win 4 straight.
But we're having some consistency here, though, with our analysts, because Coach Willie and Jelovito, Mr. Hot Takes, have the same take that the Heat will take it in Game 7.
Heat and 7. So let's see whether or not both of them are right. And I actually, honestly, truly believe that take was made because he cannot root for the Celtics. It's against his blood.
I am. But that was an unbiased take. I feel, or maybe it's just so deeply rooted in me, my dislike for the Celtics.
Well, the main guys, Jimmy Butler for Miami, Jason Tatum for the Celtics for this show. It's Coach Willie, because we still have you in the next one.